Hello, everyone. I'm Professor Geek. Welcome back to the channel, and welcome to the Tuesday Night Classics as we are about to embark on the amazing journey that is Todd Browning's classic Dracula with Bela Lugosi, the great Bela Lugosi. I will have the panel in here shortly. I just sent out the invite, so I'm sure they're popping out. See Big Al now. Let me show this really quickly, though, before we do that. I did want to show at the beginning of all of these, I do show the my Universal Classics Legacy Collection, actually, edition. So let me show this on the big screen, and then I'll bring the panel in and everything, and we will welcome the chat and everybody. And take that off of the unpinned message. Yep. All right, cool. So I'll be able to see everybody in the chat there to welcome you all. But welcome. And yeah, so this is the it's always got that glare because of the clear. This is pretty cool. So the Universal Classics Dracula Legacy Collection. And again, these came out around the time Van Helsing was released by Stephen Sommers. Not the greatest movie, but fun if you love these monsters. And they celebrated all their classic Universal ones. And open it up here. Kind of tight. I've got the DVD in for Dracula, but you got the two DVDs and all of the it's nice hard, as they all are. But the let's see, you got Dracula 1931 with the original score, Dracula 1931 with the Philip Glass score. It was a change. Stephen Sommers on Universal Classic Monsters Dracula, The Road to Dracula, Dracula poster and photo montage, Dracula theatrical trailer, feature commentary with film historian David J. Scull. On disc 2, they have the Spanish version of Dracula because, they filmed a Spanish version during the nighttime hours while they were filming the English version during the day with the different casts and everybody. Just easier to go market that in Mexico, or to Spanish viewers rather. His introduction to the Spanish version by Lupita Tovar, who played Mina, Mina, I think, in that one. Dracula's Daughter, you've got that. Son of Dracula, House of Dracula. Got the trailers for them all. So yeah, all excellent stuff. But there we go. So let's welcome in the panel here, and then we will welcome the chat. So with me, as always, is my trusty TA, Big Al. Say hi, Al.
Hi, Al.
Welcome, sir. And we have our Klingon cleric himself with content on his Klingon cleric channel now at last.
Finally, yes.
Welcome.
Thanks so much. And the other thing that shows up on those DVDs is there's commentaries by the filmmakers and some other neat little DVD extras. Definitely worth checking out.
You said
definitely.
And I'm sorry, I missed that part.
I read some of them, but yeah. And then, of course, joining us as well is the lovely Nanette from Netter's Network. Welcome, Nanette.
Thank you. How is everyone tonight?
Freaky Doll is back.
Yes.
Freaky Doll is back.
You got to expect that throughout October. And she also has content on Netter's Network. So
yes. Finally have content on Netter's Network too. Very good stuff. Let me welcome the chat here since we started a few minutes early so I could do all this. I believe Troy was first after my pinned comment.
Well, true, but I would give it to Owen Lister because I'm in the I was following it because I knew I was going to be on the panel. So
Troy's comment, no pre-show, slacker.
Exactly.
What shocked me is I was the first thumbs up, and I'm like, how am I the first thumbs up? There are other
even
people
after
here.
two of us commented, she was the first thumbs up.
I've got to say, I saw quite a few people in the chat, and there was like me and one other thumbs up. Like, come on, people. Get with it. But Owen Lister, welcome, sir, to you as well. I do think this is hilarious. I got to call this out. All right, so I guess Owen Lister is going to be on Study Hall. Is that right, Troy? Like Owen Lister's idea for Study Hall. Still brainstorming a topic. One idea I have so far is recommending anime to you guys to watch.
And you'll notice I didn't respond. It was like, you know what? It's Aging Boomer's channel. Ask him.
Love you, Owen. Never change. Never give up. Never give up.
Sunday night on Weeb Hall.
I really should. I should, like, maybe one of my Saturdays after the holiday season, I should just do like one of my experiences with anime, like the American version of Battle of the Planets or something, which has absolutely nothing to do with the Japanese version, so that all the weeb watchers just go ree.
Welcome Matthew Flynn as well. Haven't seen you around in a while.
Yeah,
good to see you again.
I know.
Melissa Harris. I still want to say Melissa Harris after that one time she had the I in her name. Mr. Matchstick, yo, Matanui, Meep, We got everybody's signature sign-ons here. Let's see. Tom Spiegel, welcome. Says finally got around to reading the rest of Scoundrels last night. My eyes kept trying to claw their way out from the second to the last page to see if I was right about Inger. Yeah. Did you actually guess that? I never guessed that in a million years. I was so the first time I read it, I was so blown away by that.
So now, Tom Spiegel, you're going to start Dune?
I'm going to eventually get back to some EU novels. We're going to do, like I said, Lion Witch. We're doing Halloween Tree starting this week, and then the Narnia Chronicles over on the Catholic Bible Geek channel. And then eventually, I'd like to get back to some Star Wars EU stuff, though. So, and Mr. Steven, go ahead.
We only did Heir to the Empire, right? We haven't done the other two.
No, we did. Yeah, we did the whole trilogy.
Oh, did we? Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, we did the whole trilogy.
I tend to,
but we still got
one.
We still have the Hand of Thrawn, in which Luke and Mara get together and everything, and so
right.
That's a duology. But Stephen Cruz, our buddy who hasn't been able to join us too much lately, is back with us tonight with a super chat. Thank you very much, sir. Reminding us that the director of Showgirls was heavily influenced by this film.
He's really not wrong, because the director of Showgirls saw Dracula and he too wanted to make a movie with sucking in it.
Oh,
but
I mean that the movie sucked. Okay.
Yeah. Boom.
Wow. Okay. And on that note, moving on. Welcome, Leia Plus Size. Great to see you as well.
Hey.
The Sentinel with us. Good to see the Sentinel back. Daniel Heron is with us. Sartorian Clegane. Welcome, everybody. Artificer Johnny. I can't remember how to pronounce that. I know I've seen you in a couple streams. Corvette Rocks. Very, very cool. Good to see you. And I think that's everybody. Casey Scott. Hey, that's right. Casey Scott. Got to have his signature YouTube notification is still not working for him. Huh. Weird. YouTube. Who's to say what's going on?
It really I've hit that bell thing for a lot of things, and it just I never get a notification.
Yeah. Do see Jedi Master Zetopia here as well, so good to see you. I'm gonna go off camera now and queue up my DVD, and I'll let you guys know where I've got it queued to, so we can all sync up there. But why don't we start by, we got a few minutes before we start while I'm getting this ready and everything. Why don't we talk about our memories of this film? Let's go around the order I introduced you guys in. Al, what's the first time you saw this movie, this great Bela Lugosi version, the classic, the original?
Oh man, way back in the Stone Age. As a little boy watching Count Gordeval, and just one of the many Universal horror films that popped up, and I had a black and white TV when I first saw it, so I never really knew that it was black and white.
Nice.
Everything was black and white when I was a
TV?
kid. I had a 13-inch black and white television.
Well, to be fair, you were still listening to the radio dramas at that time, and TV was new, and who got a color TV right off the bat?
After I got home from the Punch and Judy show,
well done.
I would watch my little black and white 12-inch television, however big the little, heavier than today's 50-inch televisions, by the way. But smaller, compact. You could throw that sucker off a building and it would be fine. They don't make things like they used to. But it's Dracula.
Mm-hmm.
It was iconic. It's fear. I was never afraid of Dracula as much as some of the other monsters, because I wasn't a hot chick. So
you figured he didn't want to bite you, right?
He's not going to come. He's not really coming. If I don't bother him, he ain't going to come after me. If I ain't got nothing he wants, he ain't going to bite me. But it's
to bring all the boys to the yard.
No. I have garlic in my milkshake. I don't think he wants it. But I'm still always fascinated by the Beauty and the Beast aspect of it, the monster going after the beautiful woman, but it's a much different thing, because he doesn't look like a monster.
Mm-hmm.
He's a very charming charming guy. But yeah, I mean, like I said, if you've never watched, I mean, I know a lot of people have watched things on their little tablets and all that, or Kindles or something, but unless you have that little black and white television with the with the, I don't know what they were called, where it's not exactly the most high def thing in the world, but man, those were the days.
Yeah.
Oh, the tube TVs.
Yeah, tubes, and I was, like I said, back in the early 70s, I was just lucky I had that thing, and it was mine.
I do have the DVD queued up here to the usual spot I usually do, right after the modern day Universal logo, right before the Dracula title screen comes on. That's probably 0 for most people.
Yeah, so this one, mine just goes right into the Dracula title screen.
Yeah, so I'm at the black screen right before it fades into that. But
yes.
Quickly before we start,
I want to hear from. I haven't called mine up yet.
Oh yeah, well now you got time. Now you have time. Exactly. Well, Troy's going to tell us when he first saw the Dracula.
Well, I could tell you the first time I saw it was on Family Classics here in the Chicagoland area. And I think what stood out to me most is the musical piece Swan Lake at the beginning.
Mm-hmm.
That just, I mean, that it's haunting. But my better story than my first time seeing Dracula was a couple years back. Nanette and I met Svengoolie at a local convention.
Cool.
And we gave him some, I'm pretty sure they were prints. They weren't original, but prints of lobby cards from the different Universal monster films, including Dracula.
Nice.
That we just wanted to give him as a gift. And I said, hey, since we saw you in person, we thought we'd give him to you. And I wrote a little, fan letter to him with it that he read on air during the next show, which happened to be Dracula.
Oh, nice. Very cool.
We saved. So we have Dracula saved with, the thank you from Svengoolie on the show.
That's so cool. That's awesome.
Yeah.
Cool. Was that your first time seeing it too, Nanette? Or?
I think the first time I saw it was on Family Classics, same as Troy.
Yeah,
and like Al, I was never afraid of him. I always just thought he was just really suave, debonair fellow who just happens to bite.
He's a little bitier than your average.
I mean,
he
would. It was just the eyes, the way he would look at you. And it's just like, okay, I'll go anywhere you say to go. Because he just had that mesmerizing look about him, which I guess was the point of Dracula. It's like he's supposed to be able to glamour you so that you do what he wants.
Exactly. Yeah.
But you're talking about being afraid. I was more afraid of Renfield.
He's great.
There is something very creepy about Renfield, right?
Yeah. I think we'll go ahead and start the movie. Then I'll talk a little bit about my introduction to it as we're hearing that wonderful score and everything like that. And that way we can go ahead and get underway. But again, everybody, we're starting at basically 0. If you have the DVD versions, more modern editions, then you go ahead and get past the modern day Universal logo, get to the black screen right before the Dracula title card comes in. And that's where we go. Does that sound good to everybody else?
Go for it.
Yep.
All right. Well, I'll do the countdown as usual. 3, 2, 1, play. And when I say the word play, that's when we'll hit the button. But everybody out there, hit that thumbs up first, and then you can hit play. You can't watch along unless you hit the thumbs up.
Good point.
All right, here we go. 3, 2, 1, play. Now, there's so much iconography about this movie. And that's honestly where I first was introduced to it, was long before I ever saw the film. Growing up, I think I mentioned before, my mother babysat, and she had like a little home daycare, so I grew up with a lot of other children or whatever. But she would do these little that music is just so haunting. Right. She would do these little like Halloween parties and whatnot, and the decorations and everything were all from the Universal monsters. So I met Boris Karloff and Bela Lugosi long before I ever saw their movies. But it wasn't until the Francis Ford Coppola Dracula, Bram Stoker's Dracula, came out that I really got into the actual Dracula story. I read the comic book edition that came out of that movie and eventually saw it. And then I wanted to go back and watch the original versions. And just was blown away by Bela Lugosi's acting and everything. It did freak me out as a child. Absolutely. I remember like not wanting to go down the dark hallway because I thought I could see him down there, whatever those eyes, you know, and stuff. He's
and one thing to note, this is not an adaptation of the book as much as it is the play, the Broadway play that by Hamilton Dean.
Yeah. There's never really been an adaptation of the book straightforward. Even Coppola's movie, as wonderful as it is, that claims to be Bram Stoker's Dracula, isn't really the movie, you know?
Nope. The closest you can get is a fan edit of that.
Yeah.
Of that
the girl there with the glasses reading the book about the thing is Carla Lemley.
The producer's daughter.
The producer's daughter, and who was the... sadly, no one left in this film survives, but she was the last one.
We do have elements of the book, though. I mean, Jonathan Harker's trip to the castle, you know, we're following along with these peasants and whatnot.
I used to love watching these films on Family Classics and, you know, seeing Frankenstein and Dracula and all the Wolfman and all that. I never really thought any of them were scary. I just thought they were really super interesting stories.
Yeah. I mean, it was certainly a lot more horrific to people watching it back in the day. But I think their staying power is that they didn't rely wholly on the terror aspect. The pathos they evoke. Now, Dracula, not so much pathos for him in general in this one, but still just the idea that it's just this escapism, this uncanny kind of world they set up, the beauty of the film, the black and white just serves it so well.
Yeah, I think the only Dracula type film that actually kind of gave me the heebie-jeebies was, correct me if I'm wrong, sweetie, was it Nosferatu, where it was a black and white film, and the fellow got totally immersed in his role?
Absolutely.
That one creeped me out to no end.
Still one of the greatest vampire looks. That Nosferatu look.
What was his name? Max
Shrek.
Yep.
Shrek, the actor, yeah.
Count, I want to say Orlok.
Count Orlok.
Yeah, Count Orlok.
Because they were trying to skirt the intellectual property rights of the Stoker estate.
Yeah. And in fact, Bela Lugosi helped negotiate with the Stoker estate to get permission for this. They wanted like 200,000, but he was able to get them down to much less than even half that.
Yep.
Cool.
Daniel Heron for $2. Thank you very much. Says this movie poster recently sold for $500,000 at auction. I bet the originals.
Man,
absolutely.
And they had beautiful posters back in the day.
Yeah, beautiful art. But these, go ahead.
No, I was.
Oh, I thought you said and. I was waiting for something else. The entry here is just the intro is perfect. Now it's from the book, but good on Todd Browning to really maintain this aspect, because that is so creepy. You're going somewhere as a traveler in a foreign country. You have to go there. It's your client, and yet everybody around is telling you evil lives there. Do not go there. I mean, that's a terrifying setup. Period.
And that keys into what you were saying earlier about the audiences of the time. I think so many people in the general public have lost that sense of, spirituality and religion. So there was a time when a movie didn't have to show you something that looked scary so much as imply some spiritual aspect that you just believed was real and was a real concern.
Mm-hmm. And also the fact that this is even bigger now. In fact, we're so far away from it now that it probably isn't even as relevant to modern viewers. But the idea that America, for the most part, is a Protestant country when it comes to Christianity at all. But back then it was predominantly Protestant. That was, the religion of most people claimed culturally anyway. So to go back in this older country where there claims to be this old evil, and the way they combat it is with Catholicism, which to a lot of Americans in the day was like an old world religion.
Yeah.
It really does type back into like primal good versus evil that maybe even your own culture has evolved too far from. Do you even have what it takes to fight it? That's a terrifying thought.
It's true.
Now this is a wonderful scene, that claw hand coming out of the coffin. It always trips me out. We got the possum, and then pretty soon we're going to see This is the brides here, but we're going to see eventually a cockroach crawl into a casket. Look at that crawl. What is that about? I never understood what that was.
Actually, I think that was a bee.
Was it? Bee. Okay.
I think it was a large bee. Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
But they've been talking about this great evil, and now just to see that stony, silent face, and then these three ghostly women. I mean, I can see how this would be absolutely terrifying to people back in the day, not used to, not desensitized as we are now.
And Bela really threw himself into this role. He was very method about it.
Mm-hmm.
When people on the film were asking him, what was it like to work with Bela? He's like, he was very quiet, kept to himself. He very polite, say hello and good night. But most of the time he was going around and like with the robe going, I am Dracula. I am Dracula. Saying it again and again, staying in character.
Mm-hmm. Now, just because it works for Bela Lugosi doesn't mean that you get to do it for the Joker. What's his name? Suicide Squad guy.
Yeah, right.
Yeah.
Yeah, he took it a bit too far, I think.
But those eyes, I mean, you mentioned it first in that, but you're absolutely right. He was able to convey so much presence just with those eyes.
Yeah, and they really, a lot of them didn't want him for the role. He had played it on Broadway. He was most known for it on Broadway. And originally they wanted Claude Rains. Not Claude Rains, sorry, Lon Chaney.
I thought I'd heard Claude Rains at one point, though. Maybe
not really. Yeah. The two biggest names were Lon Chaney, who sadly passed away, and Conrad Veidt, who, of course, the man who laughs.
Yeah,
he was considered, but he was back in Europe at the time, and Bela kind of ended up with it. There were some others that were considered for it, like Paul Muni, and but a lot of them just you wouldn't really know.
There's a lot here too. That beautiful set work there too, and the matte painting transition to the set and everything. That's wonderful. But there's something to be said too, though. This is Bela Lugosi's coming out of Bulgaria. I think was his home, right? Yeah.
I love this.
The bat driving Bulgaria, which was part of the USSR, and he had defected, to come here and do all of this, and they eventually did offer him to come back. They said, you come back and you'll be our spokesperson for our arts and entertainment or whatever. He's like, yeah, you'll send me to the gulag. I'm not coming back.
Yeah, exactly.
But that idea of there's evil in the old world. So with the USSR, that kind of evil, the communist horrors and stuff, but also that ancient evil, that old world sense of what have we lost coming into our modern day progress, but we've also lost the aptitude to fight it.
Yeah, he was Hungarian.
Hungarian, yeah.
Yeah.
Bulgaria, Hungary.
But same thing, communist bloc.
Yeah, those Baltic states. Yeah. It didn't exist for a while there.
Yeah.
Stephen Cruz says the way Bela Lugosi glares is the same look that Pruff gives to people who eat onions. Yeah. People who suggest I should just try it the way they make it.
The Prof never eats onions.
Right.
It disagrees.
But, I can also see someone like Rudolph Valentino being in this role, having that same suave, debonair look about him, and those eyes. Again, he's got those eyes,
Didn't realize armadillos were native to Transylvania.
I was just gonna say some odd choices for animals here.
Actually, armadillos were known for digging in graveyards, and they had the reputation for digging down to eat cadavers.
Yeah,
it's not true, but that's
what they.
It was a common misconception, a common folklore myth.
Now, the very first time we hear his voice, we've been bowled over by his presence, and all he says is, "I am Dracula," but in that wonderful accent.
Mm-hmm. There was a rumor that he had to learn his lines phonetically, and that's completely untrue.
No, he spoke English.
He spoke English as well as he was always going to speak English.
Yeah, he did have to work at times to make his accent clear and everything.
Here's my favorite. Children of the night.
Beautiful music they
Good
make.
music they make. I love that.
He's like, okay, you wackadoo.
Well, kinda, yeah.
Couldn't have dusted
He's
for
like-
me.
You call it music, and I'm kind of quaking here a little bit.
I still love the love at first. Well, first Byron goes, "Children of the night, shut up."
Yeah. What a mess they make.
It's like, dude, how'd you get through the cobwebs without getting them all over you?
Exactly.
Especially since they were made of liquid cement. They were, I mean, that model plastic spun around.
So here we have Renfield. Blood is the life, Mr. Renfield.
Of course, in all the Universal films that Dwight Fry is in, this is the most normal he really is for any length of time.
And the book didn't really give us much of Renfield's first visit. The book gave us Jonathan Harker's visit,
Right.
if I remember correctly, and Renfield had already gone there, but kind of gone crazy.
Actually, I am not certain that Renfield actually was the previous lawyer. That is a construction of the movies.
I thought that was the case in the book.
No, they never say who the person was before them, and that's why there's some ambiguity as to who exactly Dracula's guest is. Was it Renfield? Was it Jonathan Harker himself? Was it a previous solicitor?
But Renfield is somebody who's
Yes, Renfield absolutely
put under his spell, and is
he absolutely is. He is
Yeah.
he is simply though an inmate in the abbey
asylum.
in the asylum.
Kind of seems silly not to just make that connection, but I'll have to go back and.
It is one of those elements that has become so much a part of pop culture because of the movies that it does kind of feel like you have to do it,
Kept your coming here a secret. You should definitely have like there's a classic monster movie Hall of Fame. Dwight Fry's absolutely in it.
Oh yeah.
Now, do we know what that pendant is that he's wearing? Because it is not the Ordo Dracul.
Mm-hmm. I don't know what it is. It's iconic though, but
it is.
Yeah, it is. I'm actually not really sure. No,
almost looks like a Star of David in the shape of it, anyway.
Yeah, it's not. A lot of people thought it was, but it's not.
I imagine it has something to do with the Eastern Orthodox Church, though, because historically that's what it would have something to do with. But I don't know if the movie went that far. It might just be something ornate they found.
Yeah, I mean, like I said, my inclination would be the Order of the Dragon, but then that's a completely different symbol. Because it's either this or a coffin, man.
Oh, shouldn't have cut yourself in front of Dracula. I like that. He's like an animal zeroing in on prey. Get caught a whiff of a scent. Oh, there goes the crucifix. Everybody balks at Catholics until somebody needs an exorcism or fight a vampire. Suddenly your new hip pastor with the chest hair and the wooden backdrop on his stage isn't enough.
I do love the way they portray that. He shirks back from the crucifix, but the obvious implication is, he just doesn't like the sight of blood.
Yeah.
So many people have that phobia.
Yeah, that's where it's like, it's just a small cut from the paperclip.
Yeah.
It's fine.
I never drink. Why? That light, just to highlight those eyes.
Right.
I mean, Todd Browning knew what a treasure he had to work with there.
Yeah. I think there were like 2 little pen spotlights that they used.
Now think about this. I never drink wine. Okay. We know that's because he drinks blood. But even if that wasn't the case, even if he was just a host who happened to not drink wine, that wine, therefore, is stocked specifically for his guests.
Mm-hmm.
I think that's just interesting, you know?
Most of our booze is stocked just for our guests.
That's true. Yeah, you're right. Well, but a good portion of that is gifts from people that gave it to us, and we're not going to drink it.
Hello, ladies.
Mm-hmm.
The iconic bride.
Hello, nurse.
Which I hear is now being excised from future installments of Animaniacs.
Of course it is.
Oh, gee.
Ridiculous.
Yeah, they're stupid.
They're also dropping Slappy the Squirrel, and I have absolutely no idea why. That doesn't even make any sense.
Love that.
Maybe they didn't think he was funny.
We'll see that a lot in these Universal movies, especially some of the later Wolfman films. Wolfman itself, the first Wolfman, that mist everywhere. I love that effect.
Yeah.
Be golden. Love that. Just that one gesture.
The pacing here is very deliberate. Mm-hmm. It's not really the way it's written in the book. It's not really the way it's depicted in Bram Stoker's Dracula, which I think is a little bit more faithful to the book. But the spirit of it is definitely, he's in control. He's the boss.
Geraldine, Cornelia, and Dorothy, the ladies playing the brides.
The book is honestly far too saucy for a faithful depiction in the 30s on film. I mean, that scene when the brides come into Harker's bed in the Coppola version is pretty much close to what it was in the book.
Yep.
And this is taken from another film. I think it's like Storm Ships. I forget what it was called. Let me look it up. See if I can remember.
Now we have Dwight Fry as the willing, or as the dude, the servant of Dracula. He needs a human lackey.
And see, here the problem is that before he left, it was Jonathan Harker that he was leaving behind, and there was no one tending him on the trip over.
Mm-hmm. Now this Dwight Fry is this sidekick, of course, is the precursor for Willie with Barnabas and Dark Shadows.
Yeah.
It has become a very iconic trope. The Renfield is what it's usually referred to.
And Bela Lugosi he looks so creepy the way they got him here, but he was extremely debonair. I mean,
yeah.
You look at pictures of him, even from this time, but dressed differently or whatever, and he was, you can see him being a ladies' man.
What's really funny is you see how fast the frame rate is.
Yeah,
it's because it was from another movie, a silent movie, where the frame rate goes faster. It was a film called The Stormbreaker. I don't know if you caught that.
Yeah, you interrupted me to say that. We got it.
And
stop. Hey, I'm trying to bring something to this, okay?
You're bringing a lot.
Well, stop. Get on my,
I was in the middle of a sentence.
And I was too, and you busted too.
Okay, children.
Boys.
So we just had an awesome shot of the silhouette of the captain lashed to the wheel. A great haunting way. I mean, look at that, to depict a dead man without showing the dead man.
It's perfect for this kind of stuff. You can't, because you can't show that much. I mean, that's a great point, Troy. They get around the censors. Even this is still pre-code, I think, but they still can't show but so much still, and they really get into that heart. Now, this scene right there, that is iconic,
right?
Him just grinning and cackling at the bottom of the stairs. That is just. Look at his eyes. That's just that's terrible. And see, insanity is terrifying. It's terrifying, especially because we know as viewers, we've seen him as just a normal everyday person. So you see that descent into madness, and then and we haven't really seen Dracula do anything other than this, but that's enough. So it makes all of the horrors to come. I mean, you're already 100% fearing this guy, knowing what he's capable of.
It forces the audience to ask.
Is a maniac.
It forces the audience to ask themselves the question: who got off worse here? Was it the sailors that were killed, or is it Renfield who had his humanity stripped away?
Mm-hmm.
I also think that the bit with the captain is because it's always a I don't know if the right word is trope, that a captain always goes down with his ship.
Yeah. And they would lash themselves to the wheel so they could stay there at times. Absolutely.
Oftentimes it was not because they knew they were going to die. Usually it was so that they didn't fall asleep and they could continue to man the wheel through the night.
Now that's horrifying. Just that her eyes, his eyes, and then that slow caress and that scream. Mm-hmm. I mean, that's
putting on my top hat.
Yeah, that is sharp looking. It really, really is. So
now, in the book, of course. Okay.
Go ahead.
In the book, of course, this was daytime. He was able to walk around in the fog of London, at least, because he fed on so much blood. But I like it much better making it nighttime. I'm sorry, Troy. Go ahead.
Well, no, I think instead of what I was going to say, I'll build on what you were just saying. Yes, he is pictured as being able to walk around day or night. It was just certain of his abilities could only manifest at night. Mm-hmm. I guess he was strongest at night. The idea that he would be literally killed by sunlight honestly did not even come along until the Nosferatu incarnation, which was kind of a bastardization of Dracula.
But that's a great example of certain things like let's make Superman fly, and then that just sticks because it just fits. It's so right. Yeah. It's like, why didn't we think of this before? And the sunlight being the bane of the vampire just fits,
And when you have all these people saying, well, this is what the way it used to be, and things change over time. Yes, things change over time. You don't just decide today I'm changing it and you need to accept it. It's you try it. If it works, stick with it. If it doesn't work, admit you were wrong and back off.
Exactly.
And the set here at Royal Albert Hall is the same set they use for Phantom of the Opera.
I was just thinking that because this definitely looks like the same hallway outside of the box.
So we see here the extent of his hypnosis powers. I mean, we saw him kind of drive Renfield crazy, but we didn't really see how that happened. We saw him sort of put the victim on the street in a little bit of a trance. Now we get the extent of it where he can truly determine your actions.
Yeah. So we were talking about Renfield and how he sets up the iconic Renfield, right? So you have it's like every vampire that you have after this, you expect them to have that. Like you said, the character from Dark Shadows, there was a similar character in Fright Night.
Fright Night.
In the role-playing game, Vampire the Masquerade, they refer to the Renfield as a human who is addicted to the vampire blood being like a kind of a narcotic. And they get you hooked on it, and now you will do anything for them so they'll continue to provide that for you.
Here's a element too. The foreign Dapper Debonair guy coming in is going to sweep the ladies a little bit, enchant them a bit. Although how much is he going to enchant them?
And of course, we've met Dr. Seward, who is played by Herbert Bunston, who also was in the Broadway play with Lugosi, as was Edward Van Sloan playing Van Helsing. Those three were the ones who portrayed the same roles on Broadway.
Cool.
There are far worse things awaiting man than death.
Right. As I was just describing the Renfield versus the sailors.
Mm-hmm. That smile. Oh, so creepy.
Dracula hungry.
And that's an excellent point. Dracula, what's his motivation? I kind of feel like from this movie, it is self-preservation, new hunting ground and so forth.
Mm-hmm.
But my take from the book is he's literally trying to rebuild his empire.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, exactly.
The old world no longer has that opportunity for him.
Mm-hmm.
But if he could stake his claim in the States, in London, in the new world,
stake his claim.
Yeah.
The world has left him by, so it's time for him to re-enter it as it progressed west.
And I'm sorry, I got a little ahead of myself because I was going to say, if you then want to move it from the Stoker story to a modern day setting, he would probably do the same thing over again, but he'd be coming to the United States.
Mm-hmm. Well, and that was part of Stephen King's idea for Salem's Lot. What if Dracula came to some small town in the U.S. instead of London?
Right.
Of course, it wouldn't have been a small town for that motivation.
Little Frances Dade there playing Lucy with her little flapper haircut.
Yeah, and that's the other thing too. This is supposed to be set in the 1890s or so, and yet clearly the aesthetic is very 20s.
Mm-hmm.
Part of that wonderful uncanny setting of all these movies. And this is such I mean, this is when you think of Dracula preying on a young maiden, it's Lucy, the scene you usually think of. You might think it's Mina, because she's the real motivation for the plot later, but it's Lucy. This is the iconic scene. He is her victim. And of course, the Coppola version, wow, but this one wonderfully right away. And I can imagine this film too was quite I can imagine the reactions against it. You can read about it and stuff like that, but because this is how scandalous, a man coming into a woman's bedroom at night. I mean, it was scandalous in the book when Stoker wrote it, and now they're putting it on screen, and he's going to her in her bed, and this is the sexualized metaphor of the vampire. First time they've really seen it on screen to this level.
But there is also something very horrifying there. I mean, she didn't invite him. She,
just went to bed.
Yeah,
with the window open.
Exactly.
Stephen Cruz for $5 says that's how Showgirls was made. The idea of what if Dracula went to Las Vegas? Last one, I promise.
Oh, for crying out loud!
You can talk Showgirls all you want in super chats, my man.
You've just invited a slew of Showgirls, but
every time you bring up Showgirls, you've got to add an extra $1 to your super chats.
Welcome, Joshua V. See you popping in there as well. Pseudo Badger.
Yeah, they talk about the two marks, but they never show them in this film. And of course, they never show Dracula with fangs.
I was just going to say he doesn't actually. You don't actually see him having fangs.
Yeah, that didn't come till many years later.
Christopher Lee, in fact.
Well, there was someone before that, I believe.
Was there?
I think, like in the 40s, like an obscure.
I may be operating under a misconception.
He's the first major one to do it, but there was an obscure vampire film where he had the fangs.
Now, here we do get back to the Renfield of the novel, who, is he suffers with Zoophasia, Zoophasia. He wants to consume smaller animals with the idea of taking in their life essence. It is a real psychological disorder, and it directly parallels vampirism.
The White Friar is just amazing. Just that the ability to play that so creepily.
Those are some wild glasses.
I don't want to eat flies if I could eat spiders.
Now, it's somewhat evident in the movie here, but it's, of course, highly the case in the book. The Van Helsing, they don't come out and say it, but he is most likely a Catholic because he is from the old world. He's not a Briton. He's not a Brit as everyone else is. He comes from mainland Europe, and he's access to a consecrated host, access to crucifixes and stuff like that, that kind of old world understanding for all of his science. He's got that still. So it's whether you want to look at it as specifically, as explicitly as Catholic or whatever, you still got the idea that he is in touch with the primal good versus evil enough to be able to counteract that evil. He hasn't gone so far in the progression of modern science to pretend it doesn't exist.
Good analogy. And that's why they call you the prof.
Yeah.
Okay, Troy, it was not until the Turkish adaptation of Dracula, Dracula Istanbul'da, directed by Mehmet Muhtar and actor Atif Kaptan, that Dracula had the vampire fangs first.
Does it say what year that was?
It was 5 years before Terence Fisher's Dracula films with Hammer.
Okay.
Yeah, I knew it was obscure.
Yeah, that is.
This, of course, is not counting Nosferatu's major choppers, but we're just talking Dracula.
So great. I mean, when you've got a monster story, you do have to introduce your hero, the one that can be a match for the monster, with equal importance and finesse. Maybe not importance, but equal, to make it seem like how they could be a match for this great, horrible monster creature you created. And we've got this character of Van Helsing with this knowledge and with this sort of, that goes back beyond, just the modern medicine, but he's coming in as an expert. So, he's another unknown quantity that kind of balances out the darkness of the Dracula's unknown quantity.
The other thing that stands out to me about Van Helsing is there does seem to be a little bit of a foot in both worlds of science and spirituality.
Exactly.
He obviously applies the scientific method, but in his search for truth, he realizes that there is truth in the old ways. A rationalism, still rooted in the old ways.
Exactly.
I guess the wolf call is kind of like the cock's crow for the vampire.
Oh, interesting. I never thought of it that way. That's a good point.
The Todd Browning's he knows what to show and what not to show. So you saw the coffin raise up. You can't help but to make it look a little bit clunky and weird, showing a man climb out of a coffin. It might take away but just watching it raise up, and then the next thing you know, he's standing in front of it. You know what happened, and he preserve all that creepy mystery to it.
Yeah, he was saying, how do I get this thing? Can someone give me a hand?
No too much to live. Good night, Joshua V. Thanks for popping in and saying hi.
Yep. Take care.
Now we got the entrance to the idea of Wolfbait. And it's interesting. I mean, Wolfbait, of course, became more of a werewolf thing, although that's kind of faded away, too, from public consciousness. But it's one of the elements from Dracula that could fight a vampire that was from the old sort of gypsy folk stories and whatnot that haven't stuck around so much.
Mm-hmm.
I don't even think garlic is as prevalent as a vampire killer agent in the public consciousness so much anymore. You know, sunlight, you know, crucifixes, stakes through the heart and whatnot. Now, of course, this is not too far off from the days of silent films. And your actors did, in a silent movie, have to really, truly express everything with their facial expressions because they couldn't speak.
Mm-hmm.
You know, the dialogue would come up on a card later. And they did make casting Dwight Fry here in his eyes, the way as expressive as he is with his eyes, plays against Bela Lugosi's, you know, master and servant quite well.
Yeah, and even with the acting in a silent film, being a stage actor, it's the same way. Because you have to project to. I mean, it's one thing if the people in the front row can see you, but you need to make sure that that back row knows what's going on too.
Exactly. Yeah, there is this, I think, belief in the modern day that silent actors weren't able to make the leap to talkies because maybe they didn't have the diction or the, you know, voices or whatever. But that's not strictly true because so many of them were also stage actors. They were very good with their voices. They just didn't get to use it until they were recorded.
True.
Helen Chandler, she thought this was like going to be her big breakout role and she's going to be a huge star. Not really. Beautiful girl though.
The way we saw Dracula just attack there too, the frame stayed stable as his face went down from the frames. You saw him bending down to her. Terrifying, but also very suggestive. Hear a little bit of an echo.
I did too. I was just wondering about that.
Maybe it's my volume. Maybe I'll take it down a little bit.
It's kind of a delay.
I can take mine down too. Says my computer likes to be possessed. It's probably mine. I'll turn my volume down.
That's right. It was a delayed echo, so it probably comes back from YouTube in some way, but I didn't know.
We are. Netter did have her original hard drive put in, so this week we'll be able to take her computer in to be looked at by the professionals.
Oh, cool.
Hopefully
cool.
Get it fixed. Hopefully.
It's gotten better and better.
Yeah, I'm still on my slow one, but at least it works.
Mm-hmm.
And even in the way that Van Helsing is working with her, just as a doctor would, working through the symptoms, right?
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Very much that scientific method.
There's also a little bit of a slight resemblance, the way he just reached for her throat with his hand. Very similar to the way Dracula reaches out his hand when he's about to prey on a woman, but you've got a doctor here reaching out to heal. I don't know
exactly. And so
Todd
you see her reaction too, which is, I don't know if this was intentional, very possibly was. Someone who's been a victim of abuse, then when someone goes to touch them, they recoil, right?
Mm-hmm.
Mm-hmm.
Well,
that
so
is perfect timing.
The professor's wolf's weakness is onion dipped silver bullets.
This though, that wonderful when Van Helsing sees Dracula for the first time, you've got this. I love this scene for the iconic pairing of good versus evil, and the way he tests him a little bit eventually, and it's just it's perfect.
Actually, something Al just said has me wondering, Professor, do you not like even like an onion dip with potato chips?
Nah, the flavor's just gross.
Really? Wow.
No, that's like my favorite.
I mean, I could eat like sour cream and onion potato chips, but like an onion dip, that's a bit much.
It's like there was some years ago, we went to go visit Troy's family in Ohio, and we got on the subject of cannolis. And every cannoli I'd ever had been really dry and not great. So when his aunt asked me, do I like cannolis? I'm like, no, not really. She goes, oh, you're weird.
Yeah, exactly. And it just struck us so hysterical.
So we were on the floor laughing. It was just so funny.
And since I'm not hosting tonight, I feel justified in stepping away. So I'll be back in a moment.
Sure, no problem. This plausible deniability where Dracula's saying, oh, I just told her some tales, But now Van Helsing sees the reflection.
Yeah, and I like that he's not. He doesn't lose it. He remains calm.
Because this is not a new phenomenon. It's not something that he's unfamiliar with. And the idea behind mirrors was the idea that the mirror showed you your soul or whatever way back in the time.
Mm-hmm.
And yes, that was my silly husband coming by saying, good evening.
I was going to say, was that an echo? Did I miss that in the...
No, that was Troy being funny.
He did that well.
Well, he came up to use the necessary, and so he decided to pop his head in where I'm at just to say
necessary.
The necessary, yes. That's we say that in polite society.
Love that.
I love those pants. Those little 30s. I don't know what are they called?
Yeah.
Yeah,
like a pantaloon.
I do not go, blah, 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 blah.
That's my husband.
Now here we go. This wonderful.
And I love how they play. It's almost like he's playing with him.
And he's not terrified. He's not scared at all.
Yeah, he's like, see, I know who you are.
And that look right there. Now it's on. Now it's on. No more polite, nice guy act.
Yeah.
And look at that. This is like two gunslingers pairing off. I love it. It's so good.
Take notice that he's got a monocle hanging from his neck. Why does a vampire need a monocle? Doesn't he have good enough eyes?
Maybe playing the part or something.
Mm-hmm. I like how he's got almost like a little wry smile. Van Helsing does.
Now, see, if I were him, I would have just said, I'm allergic to tobacco, and I apologize that I knocked it from your hand. I'm really allergic to tobacco. Instead, he says mirrors. I mean, he could have played that off easier.
I love but he's so taken aback. Like, how could anybody know? Like that just threw him off. This new world, he's supposed to have complete dominance over this. Mm-hmm. And what he said to him, for one who's lived only one life, you're very wise.
He strikes me as the stereotypical, supervillain, right? Mm-hmm. Who's become arrogant, and he underestimates his opponents.
Mm-hmm.
And I like a great way of not having to show the wolf, just saying, look, a wolf.
Yeah. I kind of on a tangential note, I was just listening to a live stream from the guys over at Midnight's Edge. One of the things they were talking about is the need for Hollywood to stop hemorrhaging money and spending all these ridiculous budgets when it's very clear from the history of cinema and from modern fan films, great movies can be made on low budgets.
Mm-hmm. Very true.
Sometimes better. You rely more on story than on visual effects.
So, Nanette, how do you think you'd look in that outfit?
Let's see.
That little flowing outfit Mina's wearing.
Yeah, I was waiting for her to get into better light so I could see it better. I don't know. It's kind of cute.
She's worn.
I mean, I'm so used to wearing.
Yeah, well, I think
Yeah.
she's got.
I mean, I'm used to wearing ones that are a little bit more poofy out, but yeah.
Yep.
Your hair is you could do your hair like that. Would look, very.
Yeah, it's actually very easy to do a fake bob. All you do is you tie off your ponytail and then with a ribbon, and then the ends of the ribbon you pull it up underneath so it becomes a fake bob, and then you just tie the ribbon off on top of your head. So you're basically creating like almost like a flow, but it's coming underneath your to the back of your head rather than on top, so you can't see it.
Yeah, you can still say it's her real hair.
Yeah.
Yes, I mean, I've done that before when I wanted to just change my hairstyle a little bit, but actually cut it. I made a ponytail, brought the ribbon down to near the end, pulled it up under so that the ponytail part was next to my neck and you couldn't see it, and then just tie the ribbon on top of my head, and everyone thought I caught my hair. But it was a fake bob.
Nice. No, I love the scene here that we just found out about Dracula's native soil. And I think that's such an unfortunate aspect of the vampire mythos to have been lost over the years in most incarnations. The idea that they can't be far from the soil that they should have been buried under. Mm-hmm. They need that. And there's an aspect of that, because that's the real curse of the vampire. We've gotten away from this idea of the vampirism being a curse, now it's just some cool new way to be or something, or some sexy something or another. But it's a curse. And you now, of course, Renfield is implicated, busted.
It also speaks to, well, if you think about the folklore, the vampire literally was tied to his grave, just the way a ghost might be tied to the place he lived or the place he died. It was expected that vampires literally did return to their specific grave. So for Dracula to live not in the grave, but have his coffin in a castle and then be able to move it about with him demonstrates a degree of power and wealth that the average vampire wouldn't have had.
Sure. Oh, that is so great.
Yeah, I love her reaction.
Oh, this is horrifying.
Yeah, she's faking it.
Right?
Horrifying. Look at him crawling over to her. That's.
And they've used that like in things for years, cartoons and.
As I said about the Mummy and Frankenstein, there's so many clips that I was first introduced to in the Muppet Babies. Every time they'd open a closet door or something like that with their imagination. Of course, horrifying hearing a baby cry.
Yep. Which, of course, if you think back to the novel,
Oh yeah, he brings one to his brides. Yeah.
And then later on, which one was the first one? Was it Mina that was literally going around?
Lucy.
I'm sorry, Lucy, snagging babies in town.
Yeah.
Which I don't know if that was intentional on Stoker's part, but it very much fit in with the cholera epidemic that led to the vampire fear. When someone would die of cholera in the house, well, you better expect that most of the babies in the neighborhood were going to die too.
It also fit into the idea of Dracula as a demonic versus the classical Christian, because in Lucy, or even in his brides at first, but certainly in Lucy, he creates sort of a anti-Virgin Mary instead of an antichrist and anti-Virgin Mary.
Yeah.
that pure porcelain white skin, statuesque looking, but preying on the babies instead of life giving to life taking.
Yeah.
And it's all the more, especially in the novel, but even somewhat in this book, in this movie too, how the men all kind of rally around Mina. She must be protected. We must protect the purity, the pure feminine. She is our society. That kind of idea. In fact, in the book, it really goes into it. They almost treat her sort of reverently.
I really do admire the way it's written, because you get the impression that, all the younger guys, all the bachelors are in love with her, but they all respect that she's, engaged to their friend, and therefore, we pure and chaste from afar, so to speak, but we're always going to defend her.
Well, it's interesting because at first, all of the suitors, all the men around are the suitors there for Lucy, not Mina.
Right.
But after Lucy dies, Mina does sort of take that role and replace it. And it's in some ways, it's a step up because Lucy's not as pure as her friend Mina. I mean, she's innocent, of course, but she's not the pure, contemplative.
She's also not as mature.
No,
that's part of it.
She's a bit of a soiled dove, sort of, but not really.
She's kind of a brat. Let's
yeah.
We've got Helsing, you must come indoors. And she's got the Wolfbait on her.
Yep.
Wolfbane's on the door too, notice. And I love how sure Van Helsing is about himself. In this one, or in the Coppola version, I mean, what a wonderful casting in the Coppola version for Anthony Hopkins to play him.
Yeah.
But the idea that even as Harker and the rest of them are against Van Helsing, this is crazy. You're mad. These silly cures you're trying to provide for her are just as harmful as whatever's wrong with her or whatever. And he just quietly, calmly, he knows he's the sane one among madmen, or he's the only one wise among the ignorant, and he just waits for them to finally get with it.
Well, and I think just about any doctor can understand that, because sometimes the cure can be pretty challenging, and you're inclined to know, don't put the cold compresses on that's making him uncomfortable. Yes, we need to put the cold compress on or his fever will spike and he will die.
Yeah.
I mean, exactly. How many times has someone with a high fever been given an ice bath? And it seems horrific because it's freezing cold water, but it's needed to bring the temperature down.
Yeah.
I mean, anybody who's ever had a boil lanced, no, don't. It hurts more. Well, it's going to hurt for a minute, but, if we don't do this, it gets worse. Yeah.
Thanks for bringing back that Harkonnen flashback.
I wasn't even thinking of the Harkonnens, but yeah, good point.
Oh, yeah, he was so gross.
Your maladies are beautiful, my baron.
David Mayer, Jonathan Harker, always just seems like he's just standing around. Not the most dynamic person.
Mm-hmm. It's actually an heroic journey here. He is the knight who's supposed to slay the monster, right? But he is he's not able to be a man yet. The mentor figure is Van Helsing, the one who's still effective. Our hero hasn't risen up and taken a hold of the situation yet and grown some teeth to be able to protect a woman from the monster. We still we're relying on the mentor. So it's in some ways it's a story of sort of a reluctant maturation, a reluctant coming of age for Harker.
Van Helsing just had a little bit ago an interesting line where he says something about his life being unnaturally extended. And there is something grotesque about that. And it does also speak to what I think modern audiences romanticize about the vampire. There is that temptation of living forever, but it's a living forever that's very corrupt and unnatural. And there's something horrifying about that, which is why it is so sad. I hate to go on a tangent here, but what Disney did with Palpatine, it should have, they could have done it based on the inspiration, which was Dark Empire, which also drew from Dracula, this monstrous, oh my gosh, we thought he was dead, but he's found an unnatural way to extend his life, and they turned it into a joke.
I like that little line too. How did you get out, Renfield? We had you in a straitjacket. He says, "You forget, madmen are very strong." They have unnatural strength, or whatever he said. Now everybody thinks he's mad except for Van Helsing, who's hearing reconnaissance here. He's hearing information to be used.
Well, and that's the ticket, right? Yes, he absolutely is mad, but not everything he says is wrong. There's value in what he's saying.
Master's not going to be very happy with all that, Renfield.
Nope.
That's a great setup too. This time he can do no harm or no ready for him. So nice setup, building attention. He was here before and he had all the power, except for Van Helsing, who had a knowledge of him that was enough to throw him off his game. But now Van Helsing mentions we're prepared, and here we go. Great, I love this face-off here. Now that you have learned what you have learned,
come along, old fly eater.
Yeah, return to your own country. I prefer to remain and protect those who you would destroy. So ancient good coming to fight ancient evil, like ancient, quote unquote, but old country.
It's a minor piece of lore that I actually had overlooked. The question of whether she dies by day or night.
But I love the way they're posturing for a while until he says, "I will see that she dies by night." He says, "And I will see every stone of Carfax Abbey thrown to the ground." And now you've got him trying to hypnotize him.
It's like, and I will find your box and drive a stake through your heart. Van Helsing, do not play.
He's trying to hypnotize him here, but we're going to get a surprise in a moment.
But Van Helsing makes his wisdom save with a natural 20.
And it's taking quite a bit just to get him to take those 2 steps. I mean, you can see the
I always like that gesture. Come. Yeah. Years ago, there used to be a show called Creature Features, and there's a Dracula thing like that. But he turned his hand; it's a much more exaggerated motion, and kind of let his fingers do like one at a time coming towards himself. And it was like a really cool gesture. I was like, yeah, I like that.
No,
more effective than Wolfbait. Oh, I love that. Love that. He pulls it out of his coat like a gun almost, you know?
Yep.
Love it. Like he's a gunslinger. Look at him leaning back and twirling it around and putting it in his pocket. That's awesome. I love it.
Yeah, he does have that like backward lean.
Yep. It really was like a duel.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, I mentioned, I think when you stepped away, that this is like an old Western standoff. Turning a fan on, let me know if that affects the audio quality. Sometimes if I don't angle it right, it hits the mic in an odd way.
And we're having beautiful weather right now. I think it's like 69, 70 degrees outside. I'm getting this beautiful breeze to the bedroom window.
Oh, it's wonderful in here too, but sometimes my office, I just like the air moving, you know?
Yeah. Oh, me too. I got my fan going. On my my AC's fan, I should say.
Now, she seems like she's better because she's worse. She's taken more of the blood and she's farther down the road.
I like her dress.
Mm-hmm.
This is the first time we've seen her. I think it's the first time we've seen her with lipstick too. Maybe I'm wrong, but she does. There's a difference to her makeup now than it was in the beginning before he had attacked her.
I think she was wearing the same makeup at the opera, or whatever that was that they were at the beginning, because she was dressed up for the evening, so she would have been wearing makeup then.
Oh, okay.
That's a gorgeous dress.
Look at her eyes now.
Yeah. Like staring right into his jugular vein.
Yep. And then to jerk back and yep.
Look back up. I'm trying to get at your neck.
Come sit next to me where I can have easy access to you.
And something else that a modern audience wouldn't get that the audiences of the day would have, very a change in role between the male and the female here. Now she's the one saying, "Come sit with me," you know.
She's the predator. Yeah.
Exactly. Yeah.
She loves the nightlife. She loves
she
to
likes
boogie.
the
She likes to boogie.
Yeah, exactly.
Like that, how ineffective he is, just swatting at the his incompetence.
And the actor is being very careful not to hit him because it would be so easy to do.
That's right.
What a big bat.
Here we go. I want you to get away the crucifix.
Mm-hmm.
Holy water in her bed, crucifix around her neck.
Now she's giving that look.
Yep. She's looking at you like a porterhouse steak.
And she's moving out of frame just like Dracula did. Also terrifying, but also very suggestive. But this is the and now he screams at the crucifix.
She has beautiful eyes.
Now I think we do get a bit of a genuine. She's reclaimed herself just a little bit to feel horror at what's happened to her.
Yeah, she's fighting against it. She knows what she is, but it's like
Well, because for all the romanticism that they put upon the vampire and his methodology, there is still that victimization.
Mhm.
You know, she is being taken against her will. It absolutely is a kind of abuse.
They're all crazy.
They're all crazy. Yeah.
I'll cry.
Sometimes I have my doubts about you.
Nice little bit of. And she said, "Me too." Nice little comic relief there.
Reminds me of that Jessica Jones. Cray cray.
Yeah. Hey, I want to cray cray. Yeah, I do that every night. I throw the Wolfbait off because it starts to itch.
Ha ha ha.
It's kind of like a siege story, They are they're hunkered down in the house for the night with all the protections around, and it's how is he going to break through their defenses? How is he going to infiltrate?
You got Joan standing there. She has very pretty eyes. You can really tell when she's like that hypnotized look. The nurse.
I don't think modern actors and actresses, for the most part, certainly there are exceptions, have as much ability to convey through expression.
Mm-hmm.
Because we're in the age of extreme close-ups and stuff like that too, where they can be more subtle. I think something's lost with all of the technical progression.
Mm-hmm.
Well, a lot of it has to do with their charisma. It's like some of these actors back in that time they were just oozing with charisma. They really knew how to play that up. Actors now, it's like, no, they don't have it.
Yeah. I mean, you get someone like Dwight Fry, who is playing the madman, but anybody who would try to do it today, it would almost come off
comical.
Yeah, like foolish.
That's why I really love it when actors are still capable of that. That's why I don't care what anybody says. I think Johnny Depp is absolutely insanely talented. And I'm not saying he can play every single role ever or anything, but he's got something. And people think it's hip to criticize whatever is ubiquitous, though. Got a chick now.
There's a nightgown
I'm not
again.
so interested in you anymore. Beautiful staircase. That
Renfield Nina.
That shot, her descending in all white and him behind her in the black. Beautiful framing.
That's a lot of stairs.
Mm-hmm.
Yep.
You have to have a lot of confidence to be on something like that if it's like built as a set.
No railing.
Yeah, I'd stay closer to the wall.
Yeah, I remember doing some plays in high school, and I'm like going, I don't really trust this platform you guys built. Felt a little too wobbly for me.
That's horrifying too. Punish me, torture me, but let me live. One-handed. It's terrifying. You don't know what he did to him. Did he break his neck? Did he twist? What happened?
And they cut a lot of the screaming out.
For censors?
Yeah, for censors. There was a lot more screaming. And when well, we're about to get to it. A lot of the moaning when someone gets a stake through his heart, there was more moaning, but they toned that down too.
We didn't talk about it when we did the Batman '89 rewatch, but I believe either Tim Burton or Anton Furst, if you look at that church that he's in at the end, they absolutely took cues from this set right here in the original Dracula, the Gothic church, when they were climbing the tower, he's following the Joker and whatnot.
Mm-hmm.
You can see direct correlations. And of course, Dracula owes a lot to the character of Batman owes a lot to the character of Dracula anyway.
Yeah.
That's why I love that animated Batman, the Batman versus Dracula movie that's so well done.
Yeah. Well, man, you would think Carfax Abbey, before Dracula gets there, you would think someone would want to like preserve it.
I belong to a group on Facebook. It's Abandoned Forgotten Properties. And someone was just like, oh, I would love to have that castle or that house, whatever, and just fix it up because they're gorgeous places. And so they left everything behind. And, these are just gorgeous old properties, but no one lives there. And like I said, for whatever reason, they left everything behind.
Wow.
Yeah, like you would think you could like get an old hotel that's abandoned and actually find a way to use it for like something. If that was Indiana Jones, he'd go back for his hat.
We don't even see her.
I guess I'm a couple seconds behind you guys.
We just found out she wasn't in the coffin. Here's Helsing's triumph. Does feel like it should have been a little more difficult. Like when you see him lying there, ready to take the stake, you want a little bit more like last-minute complications or something. But I do love this Mina's reacting to Dracula being killed, clutching her own chest.
It just looks so funny running.
Not forever. There's some sequels. It is such a shame that he never replayed the actual character of Dracula.
Yeah.
Well, except for one film. Abbott Costello meet Frankenstein.
Yeah. But he should have been such a part of Dracula's daughter and Dracula and all that.
Well,
he was supposed to be part of Dracula's daughter at first.
He was, but and then they end up using like a wax dummy, I think, in his place.
Which is why you all should join me over on Fixing the Universal Monsters Shared Universe, as we imagine rewriting all of these for a modern audience.
Yeah, Troy just dropped the link there. And Leah Plus Size, brings up the Marvel comic of Dracula. No, I haven't read it, but Fan Man speaks incredibly highly of it. And he's crazy stickler for going by the novel or else, Yep. And he says that the comic is actually really true to the novel. I haven't read that. I've read Tomb of Dracula. I showed those off the other day, which I love, the Marvel horror comics version of the character. But no, there is, you're right. There is an adaptation, and I've heard great things about it. I think it's in black and white. I think.
Yep.
Yeah. Have you read it, Troy?
I have, though I never owned it myself.
Okay. Yeah.
Put it on the list.
Okay. She always does that. She's like, well, when we're out and we're going past our local comic book store, you want to stop at Keats? I haven't really put my list together yet. And she's like, well, get that list going.
Well, part of it is too because of the whole
they're hurting.
thing that won't be named. They were really hurting because it's a small comic book shop. So they had to shut down for a couple of months, and so they're like lost a lot of revenue. And so I keep urging him to go back, and even if we just buy one thing, it's something that helps.
Yeah.
You know what? I'm also going to drop the link. I don't know why I don't do this more often, to Al's iconic Universal Monsters. He literally has almost daily, definitely. He's putting something up about
3 times a day.
3 times a day, yeah. And sometimes some behind the scenes shots, some promotional shots that you may never have seen before. It's a great way to remember the iconic Universal Monsters.
Toys, magazines, poster art, just fan art. Sometimes a trailer will pop up, a scene or two. The Green Line Girl said the current owners of Waverly Hills Sanatorium are planning to turn it into a hotel. Oh, that'll be fun.
Pass.
Cool.
The Crazy Hotel.
And Melissa Harrison, David Carradine of Kung Fu fame's dad plays Dracula. Like you said, Professor, Bela Lugosi would not play Dracula again until Abbott and Costello Meet Frankenstein. Following this one was Dracula's Daughter, with Gloria Holden, and then they had Son of Dracula with Lon Chaney Jr. playing the title role, who actually turns out to be Dracula. And then John Carradine takes over the role, and who probably looked more like the Rob Stoker description than anybody. And he did a fine job playing that in House of Dracula and House of Frankenstein.
I think it's cool though that Bela Lugosi, having only played it once, is still, even at that time, was still the iconic Dracula.
Yeah. Well, he did play a character very much like it in Mark of the Vampire.
Yeah, but he couldn't be Dracula.
Yeah, he wasn't Dracula. He was like Tesla or something. I forget the name of it. But you look at it, it was he was basically playing Dracula, but just not in the name.
Yeah.
Well, that's the same thing for any actor that does a role and they play it so well. It's the only thing that's what you associate. It's like you think Dracula, you think Bela Lugosi. You think Batman, most people think Adam West because he was the first iconic Batman.
I think Michael Keaton, but whatever.
Okay, I'm a little bit older than you, Prof. I remember the good old days back in the 60s when we watched, Adam West.
Well, it's just like, it all depends.
Although I did like Michael Keaton.
There are a lot of characters out there that have been played by multiple actors. It all depends on the one you basically saw the first, or the one that had the most resonance with you. I mean, you got a lot of James Bonds out there. Doctor Who is very much like that. Not a lot of others. Those are, but you do have like Frankenstein's monster and Dracula. There are a few to choose from.
So this is Tuesday night. Next Tuesday night classic, we have two more Tuesday night classics, Universal Monsters themed. We're going to do Son of Frankenstein, returning to that genre again, so that we can continue with Bela Lugosi and watching him play Igor, which is our Igor. I forget how they pronounce it in that film, but that's the origination of that role, of that character, and he does an amazing job. Truly amazing job. And Boris Karloff returning as the creature, of course, and wonderful there. So that's next week, and then we'll watch The Wolfman, the following one. That'll complete our Universal Monsters, and then that following week we're going to do something pretty cool. I'll announce that probably Thursday when we look at those. But that's Tuesday. So tomorrow, Wednesday, we will have Green Lion Girl, of course, is going to be doing her continued walkthrough for Until Dawn, right? That's the name of it, the gaming stream.
Yep.
And but keeping with Dracula, Daniel Herron on Soundtracks with Birdman is going to be doing Francis Ford Coppola's Dracula, the one we've been talking about a little bit tonight as we reference things. So great film.
Yes. And I will be joining him, as you can now see by my avatar.
Al Lucard.
Al Lucard, nice.
Yes, the Birdman has asked me to join him tomorrow night, and I am taking up the challenge to watch Bram Stoker's Dracula. 8:30 tomorrow night.
Yeah, 8:30, and then Green Line Girls stream starts a little bit later. I think 9 or something.
Actually, I think, unless I'm mistaken. Okay, so Al, it's 8:30 Eastern. Is Daniel Herron?
Yes, 8:30 Eastern.
And then I believe it's 9 o'clock Eastern is Green Lion Girl.
Green Lion Girl, yeah. She says, planning on playing Friday the 13th virtual cabin on the 28th. Awesome.
Ooh,
Very
cool.
cool. Very cool.
I'm there.
Cool.
Yeah, right.
So that is Wednesday.
Yeah, her gaming streams are awesome to watch.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
And they're a lot of fun because she
very
helps you
social,
be a part of them. Yeah.
Yeah.
But there's no wall chicken.
But
no wall chicken. Wall chicken, the return of wall chicken. I don't know if Fan Man's going to be doing a Second Cup Cafe Thursday. He's got hurricane stuff to think about and everything.
Yeah, he is literally ground zero. If you look at the map where that Hurricane Delta is
goodness,
kind of aimed, it literally would go right over Lafayette, Louisiana, where he lives. Mm-hmm. So he's Thursday and Friday with the Fan Man. He's unsure. He's not 100% sure, but he may have to evacuate if he does it on if Friday night flicks is Friday night frights can't be held. He does plan on trying to do something, and if he has issues, I was going to go on and do something. So there will be either Fan Man or me Friday night at around 8. And we're hoping it's the Fan Man. We're hoping he's all right. Well, we'll see what happens. Stay tuned.
I'm probably going to do a gaming. I want to do that gaming stream this last weekend. Never got around to it. I was so tired. So I might do that Friday too. Eventually we're just going to have to go up against each other with these streams. We're being so, we can't just have people's assigned nights, like I don't scare, if anybody has to go on a Tuesday or Thursday, that's totally fine. I just like the community being able to stream. But before that, Thursday night is the book study. We're going to start Halloween Tree by Ray Bradbury. Wonderful, wonderful book. We're just doing the first 6 chapters. It is sort of I don't like saying it's a children's book that makes you think it's like Goodnight Moon or something. It's not. It's along the same lines as Something Wicked This Way Comes was. Yeah. But it's wonderful for Halloween. It's just a great read. And
is it great imagery? It is a great Halloween read. I could definitely see why you suggested, why you like it so much.
Yeah, it's just when I read it every Halloween, for the last few years anyway. But good stuff. And so Friday, Fridays. I don't know what Wolftown Media is doing. He usually does that Saturday. No, never mind. So Saturday, Wolftown Media, maybe something. But then it's back to your channel Saturday, right, Al?
Yes, Big Al presents Abbott and Costello Meet Frankenstein.
It's a week of Lugosi.
Yeah, it's a big Lugosi week. It's a big Dracula week. It's a lot of fun. Halloween continues on Big Al Presents with the iconic comedy duo going up against the iconic Universal Monsters. A lot of fun.
Cool.
And Sunday, we have Study Hall and his own lister. He's going to be the guest, right?
I don't know for sure.
Okay,
because I just
assumed that.
Touch base with Agent Boomer, but I think you're right.
Okay, sorry, I didn't mean to assume anything. I was from what he said in his comments. I thought that might be the case. I didn't know.
No, I think you're right, and I think I remember him saying that last week. I don't remember, and since I don't see him in the stream, I can't verify that with him right now. Yeah, but sure. Yes, I do believe there will be a guest.
He's on vacation right now, I believe. Actually, that's why he wasn't here with us tonight. Yeah. Yep. He should be back with us next week, I think. But
yep.
And then of course, Mr. Matchstick will be doing his Weeb Watch Sunday as well. So
I believe that is Helsing, episodes 5 and 6.
Watching anime.
Yep.
And then Monday night, the return of Sound Engravers, Monday Night News.
Thank goodness. I could not keep up that pace anymore.
It was good though. I'm glad we got in the Dune rewatch and everything. And
It did work out perfectly. But I told you last night, it was like, oh, I'm hosting to. Oh crap, I'm on like every night.
Yeah. I
But
think
it is nice though when somebody has to take a day off that someone else
That
steps
someone
in
else
to keep
fill
the
in,
spot
yeah.
warm, so that they're not forgetting that hey, something actually happens on this night. You know,
Right.
Yeah.
Actually, I'm doing a 6 in a row.
Yes, you are. You are a trooper, Big Al. But I'll tell you, and see, that's why, I feel like our community has gotten to the point where I think everybody knows there's something going on every night. You may forget from time to time what it is, but you know that if you just kind of tune into the Professor Geek Facebook group, you'll find the schedule there, and you can just click on that person's channel and hang out with us.
Exactly. Definitely. And
see how organic that was, and I worked that in there.
Yep, dropping that link. There it is. Yep, exactly. And I think Sounded Great. If I remember what she said, I think I might be misremembering this, but I think she's going to do some sort of continuation topic-wise on heroic themes or whatever. I think, but maybe I'm off on that. But she will be back Monday night nonetheless.
She's all about inspiring us, isn't she? She
is. Being the muse, the Monday night muse. And then, of course, Tuesday, back here for Son of Frankenstein. So,
yep.
Good. All right. I have had a busy day. I'm ready to call this one done and go do a couple things before I pass out. Pretty much, I am wiped out. But all right. Well, the closing words from any of you?
Well, I just want to remind everyone, like I always do, that we really do appreciate it if you go to our channels and you like, share, subscribe, make a comment, especially for us newer ones. Like I finally have content on my channel, so go to Netters Network and watch my I think it's a 1 minute 30-second video on how to keep that awesome box that you want to keep. And of course,
it is such a dopamine hit to get a little bit of encouragement from you guys.
Yeah, I mean, I've got 41 subscribers now. I'm like, woohoo! So yeah, I mean, I'm like totally psyched. And then of course, Troy on his Klingon Cleric channel has a video up now. So check that out. He's showing how to make traditional gok, and it's actually edible, and it's a really good recipe. He makes it all the time.
I'd like to try it, actually.
Professor even said he'd even be willing to try it with onions the way I make it.
Well,
that good to him.
That was a little hyperbole, but I will try the unonion version.
See how he tries to encourage me? See? That's why we're saying, just give us a like.
Right. And there are just a couple more of us that are just starting out our channels. And we really do appreciate you just going in and subscribing, liking, sharing, instead of making a comment, even if it's just to say, hey, saw your video, something to encourage us. We really do appreciate it. And we just thank you so much for being there.
Yep. And good night, Matthew Flynn. Thank you for the subscription, by the way. I saw that.
Yes. Very cool. All right. Well, I'm quietly yawning my head off over here. So I'm going to call this one done. But thanks, everyone, for hanging out. And until next time, keep enjoying and digging deeper into the stories you love.
Stephen